Imagine the getaway car in a bank heist is actually conscious.
Okay, that is a wild image to start with.
Right. And imagine the flashlight the thief uses to see in the dark, or the map they're following, or even the rain washing away their footprints. Imagine all of those things are unwilling accomplices.
So they are forced to participate.
Yes, exactly. Wait, I mean, they are forced into it against their will. They are participating in a crime that violates their original design.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they hate what they are doing, but they are completely hostage to the person behind the wheel.
That is heavy.
It is. Welcome to Reformed Thinking. I am your host, and we are thrilled to have you with us today.
And I'm your resident theologian. It's great to be here.
Today, we are taking a deep dive into the writings of the 18th century theologian Jonathan Edwards. We are looking specifically at his analysis of the Apostle Paul's words in Romans chapter 8.
Verses 19 through 22, to be specific.
Right. That is the famous passage detailing the groaning of the physical world.
A very misunderstood passage, honestly.
Oh, for sure. So our mission today for this deep dive is to understand Edwards' argument that the physical world is currently in a state of unwilling bondage to human sin. But it is not just stuck there, it is actively groaning, waiting, and working toward a specific, glorious historical conclusion.
That concept of the unwilling accomplice is really the perfect lens for this text.
I thought so too. It just frames it so clearly.
It really does. But before we get into the actual mechanics of how that works, the gears and levers of it all, we need to set the theological stage.
Okay, lay it out for us.
So Edwards is diagnosing the present suffering state of the church and the world at large. He is looking around at the friction in the natural world.
Like natural disasters.
Yeah, natural disasters, decay, moral failures, the wars happening around him. And he concludes that this suffering is not random chaos.
It is not just the universe spinning wildly out of control.
Right. It's a temporary state. Edwards wants us to see that the physical world is essentially caught in the crossfire of a massive spiritual rebellion.
And it is straining toward the day when that rebellion is finally put down.
Precisely. The biblical text calls this impending day the manifestation of the sons of God and their glorious liberty.
Okay, wait. Before we move forward, let us break that down. What does that phrase mean in plain English?
Which part?
The manifestation of the sons of God. I mean, that sounds like really heavy theological jargon. Who are the sons of God and what are they manifesting?
That is a very fair question. It is a crucial clarification to make.
Because if we do not get that, the rest of the deep dive will just not make sense.
Right. So in the context of Romans 8, the sons of God are the elect. That means those who have been adopted by God through faith.
Okay.
But currently in our present timeline, their status is somewhat hidden.
Meaning they just look like everyone else?
Yeah, they live ordinary lives. They get sick, they age, they struggle with sin, they go to work, they die.
Right. There is no glowing halo over their heads or anything.
No, none of that. So the manifestation is the future event, often associated with the return of Christ and the final resurrection, where their true glorified status is fully revealed to the entire cosmos.
Oh, so they are manifested or unveiled in their perfected state.
You got it. Edwards is saying the physical creation is actively waiting for that specific unveiling.
Why that event specifically?
Because the liberation of the physical world is tied directly to the glorification of humanity.
Oh, I see. So humanity essentially dragged the physical world down into this mess in the first place.
Yes.
And so the physical world cannot be freed until humanity is finally fixed.
That is the core of it. And that brings us to Edwards' first major argument.
Yeah.
Creation is currently subjected to vanity.
Subjected to vanity. Tell us more about that.
Well, when God created humanity, he gave them dominion over the earth. Mankind was supposed to be the steward of the natural world, right? We're supposed to lead it in worship.
Right, the whole Garden of Eden mandate.
Yeah. But because of the fall, humans now utilize the natural world to facilitate wicked desires.
We weaponize it.
We do. Edwards points out that the sun's light, the rain, the fruits of the earth, the brute animals, they are all abused by mankind.
They're made subservient to human lusts.
Yes, forced to comply.
So if a tyrant goes to war, the sun still shines on his army, giving them light to do violence.
Yeah.
And the rain still waters the crops that feed the soldiers who are committing those acts.
It is a sobering reality.
It is. I mean, the brute animals, or today we might say things like fossil fuels and steel, they are used to build the machinery of war. The natural world is forced to assist in these crimes against the creator.
And the mechanism of this bondage is where Edwards really pushes the philosophical boundaries.
How so?
Well, he goes into how God actually sustains the physical universe. God operates the universe through constant, regular methods, which we commonly call the laws of nature.
Gravity, thermodynamics, things like that.
Yeah, the water cycle, photosynthesis, electromagnetism. For Edwards, these are not just autonomous forces.
They are not just a clock ticking in the background.
No, they are the regular, predictable ways God himself chooses to govern the physical realm, moment by moment.
So this is the concept of continuous creation.
Yes, that is the theological term for it. God does not just wind up the universe and walk away to let it run on its own.
He actively sustains the existence and the properties of every single atom.
Right, and here's where it gets incredibly heavy.
Okay, hold on. If God is the one keeping gravity working so a murderer can swing a weapon, doesn't that make God complicit in the murder?
That is the logical question to ask.
I mean, that is a terrifying thought. If a tyrant drops a bomb and God is the one actively sustaining the physics of the explosion, how does Edwards reconcile that?
It is terrifying. And honestly,
Yeah.
Edwards does not shy away from that discomfort.
He leans into it.
He does. He acknowledges the staggering weight of the reality that God's influence continues to make the elements obedient to human will, even when humans use those elements for evil.
But he has to separate God's maintenance of physics from man's moral culpability, right?
He does. And here's how he does it. God allows the laws of nature to remain consistent because consistency is absolutely necessary for a rational universe.
Okay, I think I follow. Moral choices have to have real physical consequences.
Yes. If God interrupted physics every time someone sinned,
Like if he made the air turn solid so a murderer could not swing a weapon,
or if he made the sun go dark exclusively over the camp of an invading army.
the universe would just be a chaotic, unpredictable place.
Right. Cause and effect would no longer exist in any meaningful way.
So mankind could not actually exercise the dominion they were given, not even in a fallen way.
That is spot on. You could not learn anything. You could not build. You could not make choices if the physical world constantly morphed to prevent you from doing anything wrong.
Wow. So God subjects the creature to man's wickedness for a little while.
He does. He temporarily sustains a system that is being abused, knowing that a massive historical resolution is coming down the line.
Okay, think of a hijacked train.
Oh, I like this. Go ahead.
The engine, which represents the laws of nature, is operating flawlessly. The pistons are pumping, the coal is burning, the wheels are turning in the exact way the engineer designed them to.
Right. The train is doing its job.
But the driver, representing mankind, has hijacked the cabin, and they are steering the entire cargo toward destruction.
Yeah.
So the train itself is doing what it was built to do, but it is being forced to carry out a perverted mission.
That is a great visual.
And God allows the train to keep running on its tracks because those tracks are heading to a destination he has already predetermined.
A destination where the hijackers are removed and the train is restored to its rightful operators.
Right. The physical world is performing its duty, but it is doing so under protest.
That analogy captures the tension beautifully.
So next time my basement floods, I should not be mad at the rain. The rain is actually trying to tell me it hates being part of this broken world just as much as I do.
In a poetic sense, yes. Edwards would say the rain is fulfilling its physical obligation governed by gravity and fluid dynamics.
But it is groaning.
Yeah, it is groaning under the reality that it is damaging a human home rather than nurturing a perfect garden.
So for you listening to this deep dive right now, when you look out your window and see a bright sunny day, do you just see a neutral weather event?
Most people do.
But based on what Edwards is arguing, you are looking at a physical entity that is being forced into compliance with a broken human system.
It is a total paradigm shift.
That sunlight is hitting the pavement of a city where corruption happens. That sunlight is warming the soil that grows weeds alongside the wheat.
It frames the physical world not as a passive backdrop to our lives, but as a hostage.
A hostage. We have a perfectly holy God maintaining a hijacked, abused system, and that means there must be a resolution.
The hostage cannot remain bound indefinitely.
Right. If the universe is a hijacked train, the pressure in the boiler is building. The physical world cannot just sit in this state of abuse without a reaction. So how does Edwards see the world pushing back?
Well, Edwards argues that creation is not resting passively in this subjection.
It is not just taking it lying down.
No, it is not just sitting there taking the abuse. He says it is constantly acting and exerting itself toward liberty.
Exerting itself.
Yeah, history is not just a series of random, disconnected events spitting out into the void. It is actively marching toward a very specific time.
A time when truth and righteousness shall prevail, and the rightful king takes the kingdom.
Right. Creation is pushing back against the vanity it has been subjected to.
Every storm, every shift in the tectonic plates, every turning of the seasons.
It is all part of this massive exertion toward the day of deliverance. And Edwards uses a few different analogies to help us visualize this exertion.
I know he talks about a clock, and he also talks about a chariot.
Let us examine the clock first.
Okay, but a clock is cold, right? It is just metal and springs. How does that fit the violence and the messiness of actual human history?
That is a great observation. You have to remember the context. In the 18th century, the clock was the ultimate symbol of precision and purposeful design.
Oh, right, the peak of technology for them.
Yeah. So Edwards says that every movement of every wheel, every tiny gear and spring is calibrated to strike the hammer at the appointed hour.
So history might look incredibly messy to us.
But from the perspective of the designer, it is operating with mechanical precision.
Every political movement, every technological advancement, every natural disaster is just a gear turning.
Nothing is late, nothing is early.
The Babylonian Empire rose and fell at the precise moment the gears dictated.
And the Roman Empire crumbled when the mechanism demanded it.
Okay, what about the chariot analogy?
It is similar. Every rotation of the chariot wheels, no matter how many bumps in the road, brings the vehicle closer to its final destination.
But Edwards knows that metal gears and wooden wheels do not capture the whole picture, do they?
No, they lack the emotional, visceral weight of reality.
So he introduces a biological metaphor that is incredibly striking. He talks about travail pangs or birth pangs.
Yes, he says the mighty struggles of nations, the wars, the rise and fall of empires from age to age, these are not historical accidents.
They are the birth pangs of creation.
And the source material notes something crucial here. The final struggles preceding this glorious event will be the most violent, akin to the last pangs of a woman giving birth.
By merging the mechanical with the organic, Edwards really covers all the bases.
He does. The clock and the chariot speak to the precision of God's timing.
And the travail pangs analogy brings in the reality of the pain involved.
Exactly. I mean, a clock does not feel pain. A chariot wheel does not suffer.
But a woman in labor goes through immense, agonizing struggle to bring forth new life.
Edwards is looking at the horrific violence of human history, the collapsing nations, the famines, the plagues.
And he is saying that this is the universe groaning in labor.
The suffering is producing something.
Just as the pain intensifies right before the child is born, Edwards anticipates that the struggles of the world will become increasingly violent right before the manifestation of the sons of God.
Right. But we have to address the theological elephant in the room here.
Oh, I know where you are going. If history is a clock, and the tyrant declaring a war that kills thousands is just a gear in that clock, does the tyrant have a choice?
Right.
It feels like we are walking a razor's edge between saying God is sovereign over history and saying that human beings are just robots carrying out pre-programmed atrocities.
It is a massive tension.
How does Edwards reconcile the violent, horrific struggles of nations with the idea of a perfectly calibrated machine?
Well, this is the classic tension in theology, and Edwards devoted a massive amount of his life's work to addressing it.
So what is his answer?
He would argue that the clock analogy does not negate human agency. Actually, it fully encompasses it.
Explain that.
The gears of the clock are not made of dead iron. They are made of human choices, human desires, and human actions.
So when a tyrant declares war, he is acting out of his own sinful will.
Yes. He is fully responsible for his wickedness. He is not being forced against his will to be evil.
But God's sovereignty is so immense, so absolute, that he can take the free, sinful choices of humanity and incorporate them perfectly into his calibrated timeline.
That is it. God channels the consequences of that wickedness to turn the wheels of history toward his appointed end.
Wow. The violence of nations is the fault of the nations.
Absolutely.
But God ensures that those violent birth pangs bring forth the new creation rather than just resulting in the death of the mother.
He restricts, redirects, and utilizes human rebellion to accomplish his perfect will.
Think about what this means for reading the daily news.
It changes everything.
You open your phone and you see headlines about global instability, economic collapse, wars breaking out, political corruption.
And the natural human reaction is anxiety.
Right. We feel like things are falling apart, like the steering wheel has popped off the dashboard and we are heading into a ditch.
But based on this text, reading the news requires a total paradigm shift.
Instead of seeing geopolitical instability as a sign of random chaos, these events are evidence that the world is actively pushing toward a definitive resolution.
The gears are turning.
The labor pains are happening.
Yes, the instability is not a malfunction of the clock. It is the clock ticking closer to the hour.
It changes dread into a very solemn kind of anticipation.
You do not celebrate the pain of a woman in labor.
No, of course not. You comfort her, you aid her, you provide medical care.
But you also do not despair, because you know what the pain is producing.
So when we see the mighty struggles and conflicts of nations today, we should recognize them as the groaning of a creation that is desperate to be free from the bondage of corruption.
It is a severe mercy.
Or severe mercy.
Yes, the world is too broken to be left in peace.
Oh, that is a striking thought.
If the world were perfectly peaceful in its sinful state, that would mean God had abandoned it.
The conflict and the shaking are proof that the current state is temporary. God is actively unsettling the systems of the world.
Right. So, if the inanimate world and human empires are mechanically and purposefully moving toward this event,
What is the proper response for conscious beings who actually understand what is happening?
that is the next big question Edwards tackles.
The soil groans. The sun is an unwilling accomplice. The empires fall like dominoes. But what about the people who see the clockwork?
What about the individuals who know the designer?
Right. According to Edwards, the intelligent elect creation, the saints on earth and the angels in heaven, are actively waiting, longing, and praying for this promised glory.
They're not just sitting on their hands.
No. And when this resolution finally arrives, the inanimate creation is going to rejoice in a massive way.
The text uses beautiful scriptural imagery for this. The heavens will sing, the earth will be glad, the trees will clap their hands, and the sea will roar.
But until that moment, the intelligent creation is defined by a posture of waiting.
Edwards brings in numerous scriptural examples to demonstrate this attitude of waiting.
He mentions the Psalms, where the writers speak of those who favor the very dust of Zion.
And he quotes the Song of Solomon, crying out for the beloved to make haste, to be like a roe or a young hart upon the mountains.
There's this intense yearning poetry to it.
He also points to the Gospel of Luke, where Simeon and Anna are waiting for the consolation of Israel.
Let us talk about them for a second, because their historical context is staggering.
Simeon and Anna are incredible examples. They lived at the very end of a 400-year period of prophetic silence.
400 years.
Yes. From the end of the Old Testament prophets until the birth of Christ, the nation of Israel heard nothing.
4 centuries of waiting, of being conquered by empires, of political turmoil.
And yet, Simeon and Anna are in the temple, old and frail, still waiting in assured dependence.
They represent the faithful remnant who refuse to give up on the promise.
They do. But the example that really grabs my attention from Edwards' text is the deathbed of Jacob.
From Genesis chapter 49.
Yes, Jacob is at the very end of his life. His body is failing.
He is down in Egypt, a foreign land, far away from the land God promised to his family.
And right in the middle of blessing his sons, he declares, I have waited for thy salvation, O Lord.
Jacob is the perfect case study for this because of the stark contrast it provides.
Think about our discussion regarding the physical earth groaning in pain under the weight of sin.
And the empires of the world struggling in violent birth pangs.
But the inhabitants of heaven and the true saints on earth wait in joyful dependence.
Jacob is dying. Physically, he is losing his battle with mortality. He is surrounded by a foreign culture in Egypt.
Yet his posture is not one of frantic despair or bitterness.
He is not groaning like the unwilling creation.
He is waiting. He is trusting in the promises made to his grandfather Abraham and his father Isaac.
The promise that in their seed all the families of the earth would be blessed.
Jacob was waiting for an event he knew absolutely would not happen in his own lifetime.
He was prophesying about the coming of Shiloh.
Right.
Before we go further, could you clarify Shiloh for us?
Shiloh is a term Jacob uses in Genesis 49, referring to the one to whom the scepter belongs. The ultimate ruler, the promised Messiah.
Jacob is prophesying that a king will come from the tribe of Judah, and to him shall be the obedience of the peoples.
He is looking thousands of years into the future.
Knowing full well he was about to draw his last breath in a foreign land.
It is remarkable faith.
I compare this to building a cathedral like the Sagrada Familia in Barcelona.
Oh, that is a fantastic comparison.
The original architects who laid the foundation knew they would never see the finished spires. They were drawing blueprints, carving stone, setting pillars, all for a building that belonged to a generation they would never meet.
That takes a specific kind of vision.
How does adopting a multi-generational or even eternal timeline alter the way a person processes their own short, seemingly insignificant life.
That is the practical application of all this theology.
If I know I'm just a tiny gear in a clock that spans millennia, how do I find meaning in washing my dishes on a Tuesday afternoon?
Well, it alters your perspective by removing the crushing burden of needing to see the final results right now.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
If your timeline is restricted to your own 80 or 90 years on Earth, then everything you do must produce a return on investment before you die.
Or else it feels like a failure.
Right. And that is a recipe for immense anxiety.
But if you adopt Jacob's timeline,
Your Tuesday afternoon finds its meaning by being connected to the eternal outcome.
you are not just carving a random piece of stone, you are contributing to the cathedral.
Jacob did not need to see the promised land with his physical eyes before he died, because he possessed it by faith.
He understood that his faithfulness in the present moment was his contribution to the glorious day Edwards is talking about.
It frees you to do good work, to pray earnestly, and to live righteously without demanding that God wrap up all of human history on your personal schedule.
To you, the listener, we live in an era that is entirely obsessed with immediate gratification.
Oh, without a doubt.
We want our packages delivered in 24 hours. We want our internet to load in milliseconds. We want short-term results in our careers, in our relationships, and even in our spiritual lives.
If we pray for something, we expect an answer by the end of the week.
How does Edwards' vision of waiting in joyful dependence challenge that modern mindset?
It completely subverts it.
It tells us that the greatest, most glorious events in the history of the cosmos are worth waiting centuries for.
It tells us that pacing the floor and demanding instant resolution is actually out of step with the rhythm of the universe.
The saints and angels in heaven are not looking at their watches.
No, they are rejoicing when one sinner repents, knowing that each repentance is a secure step toward the final day.
That waiting is not passive. It is not like waiting in line at the DMV.
Right. Edward stresses that the saints set their hearts upon love, long, wait, and pray for the promised glory.
It is an active, vigorous dependence.
When the church prays, "Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven," they are pulling the future into the present.
They are joining their voices with the groaning creation.
But they are doing it with conscious hope rather than ignorant frustration.
They know what the creation is waiting for.
The creation feels the pain of the bondage, but the saints know the name of the deliverer.
That is a wonderful way to summarize it. Let us briefly recap what we covered in this deep dive.
We covered a lot of ground.
We started by looking at a physical world that is held captive. The elements, the weather, the animals, they are all forced into compliance with human lusts through the constant, reliable laws of nature.
God actively sustains the physical universe, allowing it to be an unwilling accomplice to our brokenness, because he is preserving the stage for a grand resolution.
He maintains the laws of physics so that our moral choices have weight.
From there, we examine the mechanism of history.
The mechanical, purposeful birth pangs of the world.
The rise and fall of nations, the wars, the geopolitical instability, these are not signs of a system breaking down.
They are the heavy gears of a clock turning toward the appointed hour.
The creation is travailing in pain, violently pushing toward the manifestation of the liberty of the children of God.
God takes the sinful choices of humanity and incorporates them into a timeline that leads straight to redemption.
And finally, we arrived at the eager, joyful expectation of the saints and angels.
While the earth groans under the weight of sin, the conscious, elect creation waits.
Like Jacob laying the foundation for a cathedral he will never see finished, believers live with a multi-generational, eternal timeline.
They wait in joyful dependence, praying for the day when the shadows flee away.
As we close, there is a specific image from the text that I want you, the listener, to mull over.
What's that?
The text mentions that upon this glorious manifestation, the entire inanimate creation is going to celebrate.
The heavens will sing, the mountains will break forth into singing.
The trees will clap their hands and the sea will roar. Just think about the sheer kinetic energy of that image.
The physical world is going to explode with joy.
The accomplices are finally pardoned.
The getaway car is turned into a parade float.
That is a brilliant way to put it. The unwilling accomplices are freed from their bondage.
If the very elements of the earth, the dirt in your backyard, the water in the ocean, the flora in the forest, are practically vibrating with anticipation to burst into song at the restoration of all things.
What does it say about us if we wake up looking at tomorrow with dread?
If the physical world is straining toward this glorious liberty, shouldn't we match that same cosmic anticipation?
That is the question to ponder.
When you look at the rain, when you look at the sun, and when you look at the messy struggles of our world, do you see the hostage groaning, or do you hear the first notes of a song that is about to begin?
Keep listening for the music.
Until next time.